Well, hello there. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris here at Gardening at the Simon Getty North. And in today's video, I can't believe it. I'm actually going to be starting this heirloom sourdough starter that I received from Heather from the Needy Homesteader. So in today's video, I am going to show you how to get this started. I've never done this before. I actually printed off all the instructions here on how to get this started. And if you would like to follow along, we're going to get started in just a minute. But again, I want to thank Heather from the Needy Homesteader for purchasing and delivering this to me today on this busy, hectic work day that I had. And yeah, I want to get this started tonight and take you through the process, and you can learn with me and see if this might be something you're interested in if you've ever struggled with making your own sourdough. I haven't made my own sourdough before, so I'm hoping that I don't destroy it and do well by this and follow the instructions, and it'll be my first time doing a sourdough. And yeah, so let's start looking at the instructions, and I'll take you along and we can learn how to do this together. And I'll leave a link in the description box below with Heather's channel and the website on where to get your own heirloom sourdough starter if you've had hard time making your own or just didn't want the hassle of starting it. And this is pretty much you only got to do a little bit and feed it sometimes, and then you're off in the races, and not waiting a couple weeks or however long it takes to get your own starter going to be ready and to start making bread. So doing this method, I should be making my own sourdough bread sooner than I would if I was to start my own starter. So I'm going to turn you around and we're going to look at the instructions and open this up and see what it looks like. So first off, it says feeding instructions for liquid starter. Congratulations on starting your wonderful journey into sourdough baking. Your new sourdough starter will be hungry from its long journey, so be sure to feed her as soon as possible. And their product guarantee, they stand by their product 100%, and to contact them for any reason if your starter isn't reactivating correctly, and they will make it right. So it also, there's a note, do not use distilled, reverse osmosis, ozonated, or alkaline water. They prefer using natural spring water. It can be found at almost any grocery store and is relatively inexpensive. So I have the Ice Mountain spring water that I had purchased from Costco, the plastic bottles, so that's what I'm going to use. And also it says do not use bleached or enriched flours. They contain chemicals that can slow down or kill the wild yeast cultures. Any unbleached flour will work, but they prefer using King Arthur's unbleached all-purpose or bread flour. So I do have some all-purpose flour here, and I also have the King Arthur's stone ground white whole wheat flour. So let's see, the next note, it says, when using tablespoons and cups instead of grams, you may have to adjust the consistency. You may have to add more flour or water to get it to the consistency and thickness of smooth peanut butter. You want it smooth without clumping or dry spots. The thickness is an important part. All right, so the first thing is to have a 16-ounce glass jar with lid and a spoon standing by. So I have my jar from my sourdough starter kit that I did an unboxing. Oh my goodness, I think it was about 1.5 years ago now. And I've already washed it all up with hot soapy water, and I put the little temperature thing on here, and I have the sticker with the date, and then I'll put the time of the feeding. And then this band is where you put, after you put the starter in there, that's all mixed up, so you can see how much it rose or not. So the next instruction is to carefully open the starter jar. It may not look like much, but it's more than enough to get you started. It may look a little deflated, but it will liven up after it's feeding. So the first feeding, we need 40 grams or 3 tablespoons of filtered lukewarm water, barely warm to the touch, into the original starter container with the starter. Screw the cap back on and shake it up until the water and starter have mixed together. And then we're going to pour that into its new home, into this jar. So let me move that. I do have a scale here. Turn it on. Okay, I already have it set to grams, and I have this jar that I'm just going to use for measuring. And then I'm going to tear it down so it goes to 0 grams. And then I have some lukewarm water that's warm to the touch in this container, and we need 40 grams. So I'm going to pour in 40 grams. We're at 39, 40. Okay, so then it says to carefully open the starter. So there's also a tamper resistant sticker on here, so you know no one has opened it. All right, well, let's take a gander inside. So you can see, it smells like sourdough too. All right, so we want that 40 grams of water to go into this container. And then we're going to cover it up. Make sure the lid is on correctly so you're not spewing everything all over. And we're going to shake it up. All right, so it's recommended to have at least a 16-ounce jar. This is probably more like a quart jar. Pour the contents into the jar. So let me open this up, move that over a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and pour that in. All right. Okay, so after you pour the contents into its new home, we're going to add another 40 grams of lukewarm water into the new jar with the starter. So we're going to go ahead and pour 40 grams of water in here again. Whoop. Oh, now it's... All right, let's see here. There we go. Maybe not. All right. I guess we're doing 41 grams. All right, so that's going to go into the starter. Okay, the next step is to use a spoon to mix the starter with the water. Until it's all the way dissolved. All right, the next step, you can either add 80 grams, which is about 3/4 cups of unbleached flour, or to speed things up, you can use 60 grams or a 1/2 cup of all-purpose and 20 grams or a 1/4 cup of the whole wheat. So I'm going to do the 60 grams of the all-purpose. I went ahead and dried that jar out so there's no moisture in it. Maybe I'll stick this over here. And let's see. All right, so I'm looking for 60 grams. All right, there's 60 grams of the all-purpose, and we're going to go ahead and pour that in here. And then next is 20 grams of the whole wheat. Okay, as you can see, that's, oh, it went to 21. All right, we were a little bit over on the water, so we'll just do 21 grams of that. So we're going to put that in. And we can get rid of this. And then stir all the contents together until you get it nice, smooth paste. All right, so I'll go ahead and stir this up. We want to make sure there's no dry flour. Everything is mixed appropriately. It looks like it's mixed good. I'm not seeing any flour or water. Try to get the edges cleaned off a little bit. And if you're interested in the sourdough kit, I can link the video up in the corner over there. And you get 2 of these jars, and you get this temperature strip, and you get 2 of these stickers to put on, chalkboard stickers, and then you also get the sourdough band to put on. Let me cover this up first. And I believe you put it at the top. And then that'll help you decide it needs to double in size. So let's see what the next instructions are. Okay, it should be about the thickness and the consistency of smooth peanut butter. You may have to add a little more flour or water to achieve that consistency. I think it's good. Mark the starter level with either a rubber band or a marker. This way you can see if it has doubled. Cover and let it sit in room temperature. Don't tighten the lid all the way if you're using an airtight lid. All right, so we'll just do that. So it's covered, but it's not airtight. Wait for it to double or triple in size. It should take about 12 to 72 hours depending on the temperature. It may be a little sluggish from its travel. Patience is key. So the starter might rise and fall while you're away or sleeping, so be on the lookout for the starter streak marks around the glass from where it raised and fell. Move to the second feeding if the starter develops a clear liquid on the top. It has a chance to fully double. The clear liquid is a byproduct of fermentation and is completely harmless. It means your starter is very hungry. And then we will do the second feeding. And for the second feeding, once it has doubled or tripled in size or clear liquid starts to develop on the top, go ahead and discard all but 30 grams of the starter. And then we will add 80 grams of lukewarm water, 30 grams of starter, and stir until it's almost dissolved. And then add 80 grams of unbleached all-purpose flour to speed things up. You can use 60 grams of all-purpose flour and 20 grams of whole wheat. Either way will work. Stir all the contents together until it's nice and smooth paste. So we're at the point where it just needs to sit and wait. So you also get this card that came with it. It says, "Thank you again for accepting Sophia into your home. I hope Sophia brings you and your family many happy baking memories. It is now time to give your starter a new name and keep her or him in your family for generations. Happy baking." So what should I name it? Him or her? I think it's going to be a her. Let's make it a her. But leave me a comment in the description below what I should name my sourdough starter. So I will bring you back in about 12 hours or when it doubles to show you what it looks like and do the second feeding. And yeah, so I will also, I forgot to mention, I have this sourdough starter home that I bought because I can't, my temperature in my house is very inconsistent. So we are going to go ahead and turn this on. And put her in here and close it up. So that's the sourdough starter home, where it's going to keep warm and not get under temperature. So I double checked with Heather, and the temperature on this sourdough home should be anywhere from 68 to 70 degrees. She said she usually does 68, but since I'm out in my pantry room where the temperature can fluctuate, I just put it at 70 degrees. All right, let's take a look and see how the starter is doing. We'll open up the door here. And as you can see, it has doubled in size. So we are going to start the next feeding. So let me pull it out. It definitely smells like sourdough. It smells so good. All right, so the next step is, once it's doubled or tripled in size, or a clear liquid starts to develop on the top, then go ahead and discard all of it but 30 grams. So what I'm going to do, let me put that over, and let me move you to the scale. So let me turn that on. And let me switch the units to grams. And what I am going to do, I guess we'll stick it right in this jar right away, because that's where it's going to go. So let's tear it down so that's at 0 grams. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put 30 grams of the starter in this clean jar that I just washed. Man, I sure know how to make a mess. Oh, we're at 29. I guess we're at 30 already. That's it for 30, I guess. All right, let me get this off the sides. Let's try to get just a little bit more in there because I cleaned the side off. Oop. Uh-oh, now we got too much. All right, so that's gonna get discarded and cleaned out. Yep, so it says to go ahead and discard all but 30 grams, which is about 3 teaspoons of starter. So that's basically what it looks like. Let me go. Let me take this off. And let me go get my water. All right, so now I have, let's see, my lukewarm water. And that's going to be 80 grams of lukewarm water, filtered water, to the 30 grams of starter and stir until it's almost dissolved. All right, so I'm going to turn that back on. And I'm going to use this to measure my water. I'm going to tear it down. All right, and then what did it say? 80 grams of lukewarm filtered water. 80 grams. Oop. 80, well, let me see if I can get rid of some of that. All right. We are at, oh, it changed to 79. All right. Now it's 80. All right. 80 grams of water is going to go right in here. And then it said to mix it up good until it's almost dissolved. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to do the all-purpose flour and the whole wheat flour. So let me go ahead and put this on. I'm going to tear it down. And then this is 60 grams of flour. Move you up closer. All right, so it shows 60 grams of flour, and we're going to go ahead and put that in the starter. And then all right, now it's for the whole wheat flour, and this is 20 grams or a quarter cup. It's best to weigh it out if you can. If you have a scale, it's more accurate. keeps going back and forth. All right, so there's 20 grams of flour. And then we're going to pour that in. Get rid of the scale. And then we're going to mix it up. I'll make sure it's mixed up really good until it is nice, smooth paste. Okay, so I got my starter in. You don't want, if you have an airtight container, you don't want it to be tight. I got my band on. I got my little temperature gauge here. And then write the date and time. So yesterday when I did this, it was like around 9 p.m. So it was about 25-ish hours for it to double in size. So it is 12, 11, 24, and it's 10:39 p.m. It's kind of hard to write sideways. So it should be about the thickness and consistency of smooth peanut butter. You may need to add a little more flour or water to receive that consistency after we start it. Mark the starter level with either a rubber band or a marker to see if it doubles in size. Cover and let sit at room temperature. Wait for it to double or triple in size. This time it should be within 6 to 12 hours, depending on your temperature. So we are done with our second feeding. And then after that, once it doubles or triples in size, now you can proceed with the maintenance schedule. And then we would discard all but 40 grams of the starter and add 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water and stir until smooth, until the consistency of peanut butter. Wait for it to double, triple, and repeat. Only discard and refeed after it has at least doubled. Waiting for it to at least double is the most important part. You will be doing this once a day if you're leaving it at room temperature. I would give it a few more days of doing this until you bake. That way the starter is performing optimally. After about a week of remaining at room temperature, you can go ahead and move it to the fridge. But wait until it is discarded and fed and then doubled at room temperature before doing this. Once in the fridge, you can feed it once a week. What they usually do is pull 40 grams up from the starter in the fridge and place it into a new jar, and then add 100 grams of flour and 100 grams of water. Stir, let it sit at room temperature until doubled, then place back into the fridge. I clean the old jar and put it away until the following week. If you are baking sourdough more than once a week, I would recommend keeping it on the counter. If you bake only once a week or less, then I recommend putting your starter in the fridge and feeding it once per week. So that is the instructions from the Heirloom starter, which they also give you this card if I didn't show it to you. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in, and I'm going to end the video with this. And I will bring you back to a new video when I get ready to make my very first sourdough bread. That's the instructions on how to do the Heirloom sourdough starter. If you like this video, please smash that like button and share this video with anyone who might be interested in getting their own Heirloom sourdough starter. And I can leave a link in the description box below on how to get it. I think it was purchased on Amazon, and they also have a website. So again, thank you for stopping by. I'm sure glad you did. And we'll see you when it's time to bake this bread and see how that goes. Like I said, this is my first time doing it, and I'm very excited to bake my very first sourdough bread. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my little home starter here. And then I'm going to find out if I can do another starter with some of that discard so I can give it away. And here we are. And according to the instructions for the home, on day 2, this should be at about 54 degrees. For day 2 at 48 hours. So here's the schedule, sourdough starter feeding schedule, and what the temperature should be on the different days for the sourdough home. All right, we will see you at the next video. Happy baking. God bless. Bye.